Hey, what's up everybody? It's Roo Tech, and today we're talking about the best $600 gaming PC for March of 2020. Now, this gaming PC will be able to handle a ton of different games. As a matter of fact, all the games, most likely over 60 frames per second at 1080p, and some games at 2K 60 frames per second. Very strong PC I put together for you guys in this video, and I guarantee that you're gonna like it. And if your budget is $600, this is the perfect PC for you. But before we get straight into the video, I'd really appreciate it if you checked out my channel, liked the video, possibly subscribed if you see anything you like, and as the video goes along, drop a comment if you get any questions, and I'll try to get to you as soon as I possibly can. Now, let's start with the CPU. So for the CPU, we're using AMD's Ryzen 5 2600 3.4 GHz 6-core processor for $120 from Newegg. So I like to put the Ryzen 5 2600 in a lot of my $500, $600 range PC builds, simply because it's a very reliable CPU. It's well optimized with the GPU we're using, which is another AMD card, and it's just simply a good CPU that you can use for not only gaming, but anything else that you have in mind. Very reliable. Ryzen has always had good processors for gaming, especially for their price points. Next up, the motherboard. We're using ASRock's B450 R4.0 Micro ATX AM4 motherboard for $65 from Newegg. So since it's B450, you won't have to worry about any BIOS upgrades. Most of the cheaper motherboards in this price range were A320s, which pretty much meant you had to put in a different processor in order to upgrade the BIOS to use the CPU that we're using, and I didn't want to have you guys go through all that hassle, so instead I just chose a B450 motherboard for an extra $10-ish. But anyway, this is a very good motherboard. ASRock always puts out very well-rounded motherboards. Also, this has 4 RAM slots, so if you want to upgrade from the 2 RAM sticks that we're putting in this PC, you absolutely can. Which brings us to our next part, which is the RAM. We're using Team T-Force's VULCAN Z 2x8GB DDR4 3000 MHz memory for $63. So I usually don't put 8GB of RAM in my builds anymore, as a lot of games are starting to recommend that you have over 8GB of RAM installed in your PC nowadays. So we're getting this 2x8GB of 3000 MHz memory from Team T-Force. I have a friend who's using Team T-Force's RAM in their build, not this specific version, but Team T-Force nonetheless, and it's been very good to them, reliable, and has had no issues. Next up, the storage. We're using both an SSD and a hard drive in this build. So on the SSD, you're going to want to put Windows and all the files you want quick access to, and on the hard drive, all of your big games, big files, and things that you don't need too quick of access to. So for the SSD, you're using Team GX2's 128GB solid state drive for $23. Now, like I said, you want to put all the files you want quick access to on this drive, since SSDs are significantly faster than hard drives. And for the hard drive, we're using WD's Blue 500GB desktop hard drive with a 16MB cache from Amazon for $30. Now, nothing much else to say about this hard drive. Like I said, you want to put all of your games, at least the big ones, on this hard drive, and the files that you don't need too quick of access to. Next up, the part you've probably been waiting for, the video card. So this is a very strong video card. I made a couple cuts to be able to use this video card in the build, but nonetheless, they're not significant cuts. You'll still have a very fast gaming PC. So we're using EVGA's GeForce GTX 1660 Super 6GB of VRAM black gaming video card for $210 from Newegg. Now, the 1660 Super is a very strong video card. You will absolutely be able to run pretty much any game you can think of from today over 60 frames per second. As a matter of fact, probably in the 100 frames per second range. So if you have a 144Hz monitor, you'll absolutely be able to notice the high frame rate. So it'll make for some very smooth gameplay. Also has 6GB of VRAM, which is perfectly good for today's games, especially paired with the 16GB of RAM that we have. Games like Call of Duty, Modern Warfare, Battlefront 2, any other modern games you can think of will absolutely run at around 120 frames per second at medium to high settings. So yeah, if you have any other questions about this video card and what games it can run and what frame rates, ask below and I'll try to get to you as soon as I possibly can. Next up, the case. We're using DIY's PC DIY D3 RGB ATX mid-tower case for $55. So when I was looking through PC Part Picker and their case list, a lot of them were actually pretty pricey. pricey. I couldn't find many budget cases, so I decided to go for this really nice RGB case, especially this one because it has tempered glass on the side and it has an RGB strip on the front panel. It's a very nice looking case and it definitely has the right look for a gaming PC. Not much else to say about this case except it'll hold all our pieces inside of it while looking good. Next up, the power supply. We're using EVGA's BR 450 watt 80 plus bronze certified ATX power supply for $50. Now this power supply is a bit pricey. I've noticed that power supplies have gotten a little more expensive in the past months, but that's no problem. I still chose pretty good power supply while still remaining somewhat in our price range. So yeah, this power supply will easily be able to deliver all the power that this PC requires, as PC Part Picker estimates that the wattage of this build will be around 300 watts, which also means that you can definitely upgrade this build. So yeah, that's gonna do for this video, guys. If you have any comments or questions, please drop them below and I'll try to get to you as soon as I possibly can. If you enjoyed the video, drop a sub. It really helps out the channel. And if you like the video, drop a like. Thanks for watching. Peace out.